Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Marcus Aurelius, and this is Dwarf Fortress 2014, Anvilquested. And before we start, let's profile another dwarf. 132, wow, that's way at the bottom. And that is Madam Tentaclehammer. By the way, I hope you do appreciate the randomness and how I'm making sure that it's fair and everyone gets a chance. I try very hard. Alright, let's see here. I screwed that up though. Alright. No kills. Madam Tentaclehammer is the younger sister of Bloodruna, the niece of Byzantine, and Lady Awesomeness and Panda Bear. Or those, no, I'm sorry. She is the aunt. She is the aunt of these people. This is the relationship that she is to them, or that they are to her. So Lady Awesomeness, Panda Bear, and so Byzantine's actually, yeah, her uncle. Yes, yes. And Lady Awesomeness and Panda Bear are her nieces. As is Crow Guy. And then Lizard of Oz is her nephew. And Crackshot is her cousin, along with Stephanos. And then she's on friendly terms with a lot of people, no enemies. God, these dwarves are so friendly and nice. Madame Tentaclehammer, Destot, has been ecstatic lately. She slept in a very good bedroom recently. She ate a pretty decent meal lately. She dined in a legendary dining room recently. She admired a fine door lately. She's 111 years old. Wow, she might be one of the oldest in the fort. Born on the 1st of Moonstone in the year 43. She's scrawny. She has a round chin. She has a low voice. Her very long hair is tied in a ponytail. Her hair is gray, mixed with chestnut. Her skin is copper. Her eyes are copper. She's very copperish. She's quite durable, but she is weak. She likes basalt, billon, green, diamond, nethercap wood, helms, large gems, and wrenmen for their intricate songs. When possible, she prefers to consume giant moon snail, cuttlefish, and sunshine. She absolutely detests jumping spiders. She has great creativity, but she has quite poor focus, little linguistic ability, a poor kinesthetic sense, and lousy intuition. She personally strongly values tranquility and quiet and values sacrifice. She dreams of raising a family. Okay, neat. Welcome to the fortress, Madame Tentaclehammer. Okay, so we are going up to the next floor, which we didn't show. Well, we quickly showed in the last video, but we didn't explain it. If you feel like this is an example of really good organization, then you have to see the floor above. Okay, so first of all, it's a long journey down here to the magma, and so I have a dining room, barracks-style bedroom, and food and drink stockpiles so the dwarves can take a nap if they need to, they can eat, party, relax, before they go all the way back up to the surface. But here's where things get interesting. Here is my quantum stockpiles for metal. Now I have a quantum stockpile on this side, on the left, for every metal that we can produce utilizing the ores that we found here natively in Anvilquested. So to go to my notes, okay, we have, first of all, iron, pig iron, and steel. That's the whole steel process. You use iron as the base for that. Then we have copper, silver, lead, tin, and this one hasn't been placed yet, but this is zinc. And they're all set up. So you can see we have a ton of iron, we have some copper, we have a ton of tin, ton of lead, ton of silver, just a little bit of copper, strangely, and a ton of iron. Actually, I think I might have a reason why we don't have so much copper, and I'll show you. So you might have noticed this over here. This is where I'm going to put all of our alloys. You see, we can do things with these metals that we have in a smelter to combine them in different ways to make new metals. So I'm going to show you a bit of a bonus here. This is a sheet put together by someone by the name of Sponge Mandan. And this is found on Reddit. It's the Dwarf Fortress Stone Quick Reference Guide 1.0. It's not based on the new version, but the metal part I think is still solid. The part about the farming might need a little bit of an update, but what we want to look at here is the alloy recipes. It shows you what you can create, what the base materials are, and finally if you profit or not from it. Because sometimes you can mix two metals and what you get is no more valuable than the two metals you mixed. Sometimes it is. So the most important thing, of course, is steel. Steel is also the most valuable. Steel is 1 iron plus 1 pig iron plus fluxstone plus fuel. That's a whole process though. Iron can really only be used to make steel. Iron can't be mixed with anything else to make anything else. But a lot of our stuff can. Like for example, we have, what do we have a lot of? We have copper, we have silver. So if we can make billon if we want, though there's no real reason for it. There's no profit in it. We do not have bismuth, so we can't make bismuth bronze. We do not have gold, so we can't make black bronze. But we do have zinc, so we can make brass. Now brass is actually worth 5 dwarf bucks more per bar than zinc and copper alone. So making brass is a very profitable enterprise. However, as I mentioned in the last episode, sphalerite is the rarest mineral I've found. It's only in that first cave layer, so I might not have a lot of it, and it might be dangerous, to say the least, to dig it out. So eventually we might be getting to some brass, but for right now, we're not quite there. However, bronze now, that's tin and copper. We have plenty of tin, plenty of copper, and bronze is worth more than the pieces combined. However, bronze is a military metal, and we don't really need it here because we have a better military metal, that being iron and steel. Electrum we cannot make because we don't have gold. Fine pewter, tin and copper. Fine pewter is a benefit. It's 3 dwarf bucks more valuable than the raw ingredients, and we do have tin and we do have copper. Ley pewter, on the other hand, is very valuable for us because it's the only reaction that involves lead. And we have tons of lead. And if you look here, it's the only thing you can do with lead. So it's 2 tin, 2 copper, 1 lead, and you make ley pewter. And it's also worth slightly more, 1 dwarf buck more, than the components put together. Now you'd be screwed if you just had copper and lead, but since we have copper, lead, and tin, we're in business. Then there's nickel silver. We don't have nickel, so we can't do that. Rose gold, no gold, we can't do that. Sterling silver, we do have silver and copper, we can do that, but again, no point because there is no financial gain in doing so. And finally, there is trifle pewter. 2 tin and 1 copper. It's not very valuable, but it is worth 2 dwarf bucks more than the raw ingredients combined. So a majority of these alloy metals we can create at Anvilquested if we so decide to do. And so I will be putting them here, and I've already started. I've started making ley pewter. Why? Because A, it uses the lead, as I said, which we have an abundance of, and is otherwise not worth very much to us except for 2 dwarf bucks per bar, which is not, as you can see, compare it to say, oh, I don't know, our iron ore, it's worth 10. But it also has this really cool blue color. There's nothing else like it. And so you'll probably be seeing a lot of really cool blue statues and furniture in our fort because I'm going to take advantage of the ley pewter and I'll also make crafts out of it and do all kinds of other things. So eventually I'm going to have rows here for all the different alloys that we can make. Although some I will utilize more than others. I will create a stockpile for all of them. It includes sterling silver, trifle pewter, you know, anything really, even bronze. Although again, I don't see myself ever making bronze for any reason. But who knows, man, who knows? So eventually, these will be filled with whatever metal we need, and our stalwart forge dwarves in this forge and these guys will be able to utilize them to make wondrous things. Now, for those of you like Ost Saint who aren't familiar with the game, you may wonder how this whole magma thing works. So let me show you. If you'd like to build a magma forge, you'll notice that some of the X's are light green and some are dark green. What that means is a dark green X is the equivalent of a wall. A dwarf cannot walk past it. Why is that important? Well, in order for a magma smelter or a magma forge to work, you have to have an open hole underneath it directly into the magma. But that's potentially dangerous because there are creatures in the magma, such as magma childs or magma children, magma men, magma things. Are any of them here? Or, I think this is a fire snake. God damn it. Okay. Where were those guys that we found? Ah, here we go. So yeah, like a fire snake. And that can cause horrible... Oh, there's a magma crab. That's bad too. So they can cause horrible damage to our dwarves. They can light them on fire. If they get into our fort, we're in bad shape. So how do we dig a hole directly into the magma while preventing our dwarves from being lit on fire and attacked by these creatures? Or even at the least being scared of these creatures? Well, you make sure to create the hole exactly where the dark X is. So in the case of a smelter, the magma smelter, the dark X is only the top square. So in all these smelters over here that I've built, I dug a hole into the magma here. And this covers it. So the smelter and the forges can use the magma freely, but nothing from underneath can get up into my fortress. So that's how I maintain security and magma at the same time. There is a moment between when you dig the channel and when you build the thing that the creatures can get in, and that's kind of tense. But once you're done with that, you're pretty much safe. So I haven't, as you notice here, I haven't started the steel making process yet. I want to get a bit past that first. I want Marcus Aurelius to be a legendary weaponsmith and armorsmith because I want this armor to count. Certain armors, basically the quality of the armor dictates how well it performs in combat. So a masterwork piece of armor has a 2x multiplier to its effectiveness in combat versus a regular piece. So I would like to have as much masterwork armor as possible on my dwarves to aid them in combat. Right now, Marcus is... a legendary miner, a legendary armorsmith, and a high master weaponsmith, so he's not quite there. A few more bolts, and he will become a legendary weaponsmith, and then once that's done, I'll start making some steel. Although I could get the ball rolling early to make the bars, which I absolutely should. I'm just trying to get my charcoal down here and get, more importantly than anything, flux stone, which I don't have a ton. Yeah. Well, I have more than I thought. So for example, I can get the ball rolling by just going to jobs and make pig iron bars. Then I can make, let's say, 30 of those. That will require 30 pieces of charcoal, 30 flux stone, and 30 iron bars, and it will yield me 30 pig iron bars. Then I would take those 30 and make another steel bars that will require more pig iron, more charcoal, and more flux. You can see how the flux stone runs out really quickly. But okay, I've created hotkeys for all the areas: magma, cavern 3, cavern 2, cavern 1, and of course the top. So let's start. All right, stuff's happening. So the real thing going on right now is the project. And that's why I have so many miners, to dig all this out. Before we do anything, once this is all dug out, I'm going to have all the unassigned basically dump all of this. So it's going to take them forever. They're going to dump all this hematite, magnetite, and chert into my quantum stock dump. But for right now, they're just channeling through everything. And you notice I'm smoothing out the rock on the sides just to look cool. So our problem is going to be fluxstone, really. We're going to have plenty of charcoal, we're going to have plenty of iron ore, but it only looks like we have a few levels worth of marble. So we're going to have to make the most of it. We can't waste it. I'm going to transition my bolts from iron to silver because silver's heavier. I wanted to make silver crossbows, but apparently you can't. That's not something you can do in this game. I thought you could. Maybe it was because of my familiarity with a mod, the Masterwork mod. If you hear that noise, it means that somebody is sparring. So that's Narian Wolf and Oscar Benitez. So the Oscar Benitez hacks the Narian Wolf in the left hand with his iron battle axe, lightly tapping the target. The Oscar Benitez hacks the Narian Wolf, so Oscar's getting the best of Narian. But then the Narian Wolf slaps the Oscar Benitez in the right eyelid with the flat of her iron battle axe, lightly tapping the target. Wow, that's incredible control when you can hit someone in the eyelid with an axe and yet do no harm to them. That is quite good, Narian Wolf. So you are an amazing combatant. Let me quickly explain that. I set up my military training schedule regimen a specific way. For my Marks Dwarves, it's normally set at train 10 minimum. But my squads only have 5 for Marks Dwarves and only 6 for the rest. And I'll show you why. For my Marks Dwarves, I have 5 sets of train 1 minimum. What that basically means is all it takes is 1 dwarf being available for them to start training, which means they're more likely to shoot at the training range, more likely to get better. If I put 10, they wouldn't do anything until there was 10 of them. So that's why I do that. But for the rest, I do 3 sets of train 2 minimum. The reason I do that, and I don't necessarily know if this actually works, I haven't done science on it or anything, but the idea is that by doing this, you encourage your dwarves to spar with each other, which is the best way for them to gain skill aside from actual live combat. Sometimes they'll sit and watch a demonstration. That doesn't raise skill as much, so you want them to spar, which is why setting it up as 3 groups of train 2 will encourage them hopefully to do more sparring, which it sounds like they are doing. Another thing I've done, because later on in this game, FPS becomes a real issue. You might think, oh, what are you talking about? The graphics are so crappy. Why would it ever tax your computer? But there's so much going on. It keeps track of every animal, every creature, every piece of stone. So what I've done here in the places that I am digging is I put a door and I have locked the door. I do this because I believe that the game's pathing system, which takes up a lot of the processing power, will not look past a locked door. And since these are wide open spaces, the dwarf could theoretically path to any of them, which takes up a lot of processing power. By locking the door, it removes the area from pathing, and so hopefully speeds up the game. That's the thought. You can see that the project is going to take a long time. And then they're practicing down here, which is great. They're sparring. Wait, we already have an elite? Really? Narian Wolf. Narian Wolf is an elite, I guess, Axe Dwarf? Well, it's a great Axe Dwarf, but apparently that is enough to give him the... He's a legendary observer. Interesting. So you can see the military dancing about, doing their thing. Let's take a look at our farms. We haven't really looked at them. But if you watch them, you can see the dwarves actually what they're growing. So there's a plump helmet, and he's going to harvest it. Here we have something green that just got harvested. What is that? It's a kaniwa. I don't know what a kaniwa is. But it's that. And Tokshin is organizing a party. So life continues at Anvilquested. I'll come back in the next episode once something exciting happens, either if the project finishes or we get attacked by more goblins. It's been about a year, maybe a year and a half since the goblins attacked last time, and I haven't seen hide nor hair of them, but I'm sure they will be back. Oh, we have a mood. Infinite. So next episode we're going to find out whether Infinite was successful in creating whatever artifact he wants to, or if he's going to die sad and alone because he wasn't able to realize his dreams. Once again, I am Marcus Aurelius. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.